offer prayers. After that, I will start doing the session. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamagyam Tadati Swapatantikam Vandegam Shri Guru Shri Yuda Patakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajadam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadudam Parijana Sakitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Nutale Srimade Bhaktivedanta Swami Yidinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirbhisesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshadarine O Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pratayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratite Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhye Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Okay, Hare Krishna. So what we'll do is we have four slokas selected for today, and we would go through that sloka today. Before that, let me give a small introduction. Then probably we can read the purport. Then we can discuss the shloka in detail. So as I mentioned, this Purushottam Mass, we're going to have a series of session. So today is September 26th. We are doing chapter 15, text 1 to 4. Tomorrow we will have chapter 15, text 5 to 8. Like that, every week, four slokas, we're going to complete it. To start with, to give an introduction on the Purushottam Yoga. What is this Purushottam Yoga? Chapter 15 all about. So Krishna is also known as Purushottam, the topmost personality, Purushottama. So Purushottam Yoga is what we want to discuss today. Now this Purushottam Yoga contains 20 slokas. There are two chapters in Bhagavad Gita contains one. This is very small, but there are a lot of information available. So this is 20 slokas only in this Purushottam Yoga. So text number, verse number 1 to 6, it talks about a substance and shadow, means what is real, what is the shadow part of it. So they give an example of the inverted banyan tree, which we're going to see in detail. What is this means that how do we cut off this material attachment in the material world, how we are attached from the shadow, how do we go to the real substance. That's the takeaway from these verses. And 7 to 11, if one is not able to do, if one is not inclined to spiritual activity, not trying to cut off this material world, what will happen? You will go through the cycle of birth and death. So that is in detail explained till 11. And after that, Krishna explains text number 12 to 15. Everything I maintain, either material or your spiritual activity, everything endeavor is comes from me. The sun, moon, everything created by me. So Krishna is again emphasizing that, saying that you have to surrender because everything comes to me. And the sloka 16 to 18, it's called Tri Shloki of Gita. We have Chatur Shloki of Gita. Similarly, this is a Tri Shloki of Gita. Essentially, Krishna says that in three shlokas that the essence of Veda, what is the essence of Veda? How there is fallible people, infallible people in both the world, and how he is the master, how it is not is not bound by the material modes of nature. So Krishna is again establishing his supremacy. And the last two, 19 and 22 slokas, Krishna is further emphasizing, if you just surrender unto me, your purpose of human life is perfect. So what we're going to do is today we are going to see verses 1 to 4. Um, okay, before that, what I will do is I will quickly read the sloka, and somebody can volunteer. If you have Bhagavad Gita, kindly open, or somebody can look at this and can read. That will be appreciated. Then we'll cover sloka by sloka. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Urdhvamulam Adashakam. Ashvatam Prahuravyayam. Chandamsi Yasya Parnani. Yastam Veda Saveda Ved. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and it branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. Anyone want to volunteer to read the purport? If you are able to see the screen, can anybody read one or two paragraph, please? Hare Krishna, am I audible? It's very nice to read in this Purushottam Mas Bhagavad Gita slokas. Kindly please volunteer. That's the reason I'm asking you to take the
Okay, bro.
chance
I'll read.
opportunity.
We have to read two
You need to be a
paragraphs.
little louder, please. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to read two paragraphs, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Okay. After the discussion of the importance of Bhakti Yoga, one may question what about the Vedas? It is explained in this chapter that the purpose of Vedic study is to understand Krishna. Therefore, one who is Krishna consciousness, who is engaged in devotional service, already knows the Vedas. The entanglement of this material world is compared here to a banyan tree. For one who is engaged in fruitive activities, there is no end to the banyan tree. He wanders from one branch to another, to another, to another. The tree of this material world has no end. And for one who is attached to this tree, there is no possibility of liberation. The Vedic hymns meant for elevating oneself are called the leaves of this tree. Root, Roots grow upward because they begin from where Brahma is located, the topmost planet of this universe. If one can understand this indestructible tree of illusion, then one can get out of it.
Can somebody volunteer another one or two paragraph, please? Abhijit Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, please. Thank you, Prabhu.
This process of extrication should be understood in the previous chapters. It has been explained that there are many processes by which to get out of material entanglement. And up to the 13th chapter, we have seen that devotional service to the Supreme Lord is the best way. Now, the basic principle of devotional service is detachment from material activities and attachment to the transcendental service of the Lord. The process of breaking attachment to the material world is discussed in the beginning of this chapter. The root of this material existence grows upwards. This means that it begins from the total material substance, from the topmost planet of the universe. From there, the whole universe is expanded with so many branches representing the various planetary systems. The fruits represents the results of the entities activities, namely religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. Now, there is no ready experience. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're right. No, that's right.
Okay. Now there is no ready experience in this world of a tree situated with its branches down and its roots upwards, but there is a one second. But there is such a thing that tree can be found besides a reservoir of water. we can see that the trees of the bank reflect upon the water with their branches down and roots up. In other words, the tree of this material world is only a reflection of the
Real
real
tree.
tree of the spiritual world. This reflection of the spiritual world is situated on desire. Just as the tree's reflection is situated on water, desire is the cause of things being situated in the reflected material light. One who knows to get out of this material existence must know this tree thoroughly through analytical study. Then he can cut off his relationship with it.
We have the last paragraph. If somebody wants to volunteer, the last paragraph, please.
This tree, being the reflection of the real tree, is an exact replica. Everything is there in the spiritual world. The impersonalists take Brahman to be the root of this material tree, and from the root, according to Sankhya philosophy, come Prakriti, Purusha, then the three gunas, then the five gross elements, Pancha Mahabhuta, then the 10 senses, the Sendriya, mind, etc. In this way, they divide up the whole material world into 24 elements. If Brahman is the center of all manifestations, then this material world is a manifestation of the center by 180 degrees, and the other 180 degrees constitute the spiritual world. The material world is a perverted reflection, so the spiritual world must have the same variegatedness, but in reality, the Prakriti is the external energy of the Supreme Lord, and the Purusha is the Supreme Lord Himself, and that is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Since this manifestation is material, it is temporary. A reflection is temporary, for it is sometimes seen and sometimes not seen. But the origin from where from whence the reflection is reflected is eternal. The material reflection of the real tree has to be cut off. When it is said that a person knows the Vedas, it is assumed that he knows how to cut off the attachment to this material world. If one knows that process, he actually knows the Vedas. One who is attracted by the ritualistic formulas of the Vedas is attracted by the beautiful green leaves of the tree. He does not exactly know the purpose of the Vedas. The purpose of the Vedas, as disclosed by the personality of Godhead Himself, is to cut down this reflected tree and attain the real tree of the spiritual world. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. So what I've done is I was trying to explain this concept, what are we read, in terms of a picture and more example, so that we can understand a little bit more. Then we move on to the next text. So whatever we read in the sloka now, what Prabhupada is explaining, this I have conducted also first session of Veda. Some of you have been part of it. But just to repeat again, I am presenting this. Also, few more details I would add. So if somebody can look at the picture, I don't know how big it is in your mobile. You can zoom it if you want on the left side of the picture. So Krishna gives an example to understand, because he says this is material world, that's a spiritual world. There is a gulf of difference. It is a perverted reflection. It's very difficult to understand what Krishna is saying here. So Prabhupada also gives an analogy where if you go on the river, there's a tree is there, the tree is reverse. How it would look like, the root will start from the top and the leaves, branches will be go downing, right? Go down. So similarly, this tree is giving an example of a banyan tree. And if we can see on the top, Krishna is there. Next to that, there is something written. It's called desire. After that, there is one person sitting on the lotus. Anybody can anybody can view it. There is a Brahma sitting on the center after the desire river. You can see there is a person sitting. That's a root where its the main root is starting. That's called Brahma. He's sitting on the lotus, the center of the picture. Anybody can locate it? Yeah. So then there are different demigods are there. If somebody can locate it, can you please tell me or at least describe? If you don't know the name, that's fine. There are few demigods on the top next to Brahma. There are few demigods. Anybody can locate anyone?
Yeah, Indra, Ganesha, Saraswati.
Okay. There are few Gandharvas also playing mridanga. Airavat, the elephant is there. That's Indra sitting on the
That is Indra.
Airavat. Yeah, that is Indra. I think there is a horse on the rightmost top corner. Maybe Surya. I don't know.
Sun god.
Sun god. So now that is the level 2. The level 3 is that human beings. There are few human beings are there. Then we can also see the animals. There is a cow. There is a deer. There must be more. There must be more animals. So you can look at it, and so there are few more things are there which we'll see in the next slide. So what Krishna is saying that in this sloka is that this tree compared to our this is spiritual, this is a material perverted reflection. Whatever we do, it's a perverted reflection. To understand this, before I explain, I just paint something to you. Then probably we'll come back to this slide to understand this what is perverted reflection means and few more details of it. So let me know if you are able to see my paintbrush. Yeah. So now this is the spiritual world. Let us take this is the spiritual world. This is a place. This is center point of the place. A point called K. Okay. This is the one more point where we have A and B. Can somebody go on mute if you are not talking, please? Okay. Now what happens is this spiritual world, we are trying to reflect on the material platform. So the desire, you would have seen the previous verse, right? So if you want to reflect, for example, we have the Earth globe, right? You have seen the map also. The Earth is actually globe, right? Round, the ball. So you want to reflect in the map, you can reflect it by what I have done it. If you just press it, compress it, then you would get this straight line. If you have a circle, that if you then you put it in. So what is happening here is that we have a lot of desire, material desires. This material desire, the spiritual world is reflected on our material desire. This is material desire. So we get this straight line. So what is happening is when you get the straight line, this point becomes A because we are cutting here. Let's say imagine A and B are the same point. We are cutting this circle, a thread. If you imagine a thread, we are cutting it, it becomes a straight line, right? So now the problem with this perverted reflection or putting a material desire on the plain platform, the spiritual world is number one issue. There was a central point called Krishna. There is a point called K. You can see in the picture above. That is Krishna. In Goloka Vrindavan, everything is around Krishna. There is no center point, but it's in the perverted reflection, material desire, the straight line. The individual soul is prominent. They say everything I am doing it. But in Goloka Vrindavan or Goloka spiritual world, the point of attraction is Krishna. So the second difference, what is happening is A equal to B in the spiritual world. A and B are the same point, but when you plot it in the material desire, the perverted reflection of ours in the material world, A and B are exactly opposite. A and B are exactly opposite here. So what is the problem with this? What happens is that first thing is that when Krishna goes away, uh, we are entangled in this material world. Number one. Number two is that we have a dualities. This is the dualities what I was trying to explain here. For example, in this material world, when we take this body and the spiritual body, there is a difference. So we have, see, for example, in the picture, in the above, there is a cow. Here in the bottom also, the tree also, another cow is there. Next to Krishna, there is a cow. I think you have peacock. And in the tree also, there is animals are there. So what do you think the difference between cow here and what is the difference between cow in the spiritual world? Are there any difference? What do you think? A cow in the material world, a cow in a spiritual world. Are there any difference?
Definitely, there would be. I mean, the material world cow would take rebirths
Okay.
and then, yeah, and take a birth as human and again try to go back to godhead.
Yeah.
But the spiritual cow is already there.
So
It's
what
the most
happens
beloved.
is, yeah,
Yeah, it's
that's right.
Krishna's beloved cow.
That's right. Now, the every persons are there in Goloka Vrindavan or spiritual world. They are living beings and they are Satchidananda Vigraha. They are full of knowledge, eternal and bliss. It's not our like our body. They have to like eh, it's like we have to take birth and death, old age, disease there. But those place it is not there. We are also have eternal identity. Please note that right now I might be in the human body. But when I realize, when I cut off from this world, when I go back to Krishna, I might be a grass, or I might be a grass, I might be a monkey, or I might be some personalities, right? I might have some specific role to play. I might be a cow, or I might be a deer, whatever position. That's my eternal position. But even though they are in the animal body, they know completely what is happening with the knowledge. They are eternal. They are always serving the Krishna. But is in the material world, as you said, the cow has to take rebirth and things like that. So one example, the duality is that in the spiritual world, I have a original body, but when I come to material world, I have a temporary body. The second example, you want to see the dualities. So I'm just explaining in this one what is the problem if Krishna is not the center, right? In spiritual world, Krishna is the center. We cut off that thread and we made a straight line. Now the second thing is that lust and love. Here in the material world, you can see only lust, but in the spiritual world, there is a love. There is a difference between lust and love. Maybe probably before marriage, would have seen somebody would have seen a beautiful girl, but let's say accidentally she, some acid, somebody thrown or something happened. The same love, it is very difficult to say the person will have the same love for the girl what he had before, except in this mother and child relationship in this material world, that is pure, that's closer to love. Anything if you want to cover love, a mother has love for the child without any expectation, however the kid is, whatever maybe in the condition she would serve the kid. That's the closest example in the material world. But other things are something are dependent. If you do this, then I'm happy. If you don't do this, I'm not happy. Whatever relation, master, servant, whatever relationship. So there is a duality: happy, distress. There is a piety, a wrong activity doing it. So sukha, dukkha. So like that, there a lot of duality comes. So here jatarasa and parakya in spiritual world. Uh, we call it as right modern terms a boy living and living together without marrying a boyfriend and girlfriend relationship, that is supposed to be higher, but here we don't consider that as higher. It's very complex topic to understand. So here in the material world we have external energy, but above it's internal energy. Another example, simply to understand that somebody staying in the hotel or somebody coming to the home, you always feel happy at home because your mother cooks, family is there, everyone is there, you're happy. But how long you can stay in the hotel, lifelong you want to stay, something like that. So one first thing what happens is in the when material spiritual world is reflected in the material desire, material place, the point K is missing. Krishna is not the center, we are in the center. So we always have a problem, distress, duality. We have to face the duality. So this can be eradicated or fixed. How it can be fixed? Now, if you take a point, okay, sorry, 1 second. Now, this can be fixed by connecting A and B and keep adding Krishna in the center. Now, what we need to do is simply in this material world, we want to convert this into a circle. Any activity, what we do, we need to keep Krishna in the center. Otherwise, what will happen? You will be entangled in this tree, and we're going to see what is the twig means, what the leaf means, what different branches means in the next sloka. But Krishna is essentially saying that you will be entangled. This route, you don't know where it is going, where it is starting. It is very difficult to come out of it. People will go in this four level, Brahma, demigod, human level, animal level. They keep on going, doing dharma, artha, kama, moksha. These are the four things they keep on doing it, but they can't get out of it. You want to get out of it, the desire needs to be cut off, and you need to go back to Krishna. Otherwise, what happens? The duality will be there. You'll be completely entangled, and we need to keep Krishna in the center. Now, if you're going to office and working, then you can say, I'm maintaining the family. I want to make them Krishna conscious. I am working. For anything you cook, offer it to Krishna. You want to watch anything, you can watch devotional, Bhagavatam. If you want to read, you can read Bhagavad Gita. instead of reading some mundane cosmic, mundane books or something like that. So it's pretty simple. The desire is the main cause for us to all do a perverted reflection, and also it is the entanglement, the duality is what you have to face. Now, moving on to the next one, this is what it means, the perverted reflection. We know this is a complex structure of tree. So it's very difficult to overcome. Now, anybody can talk about what are the, generally what you see in the tree? What are the parts of various parts of the tree? Any tree you take it, what is it consist of?
It's written there. Leaf, branch, twigs, roots, subroot, fruits.
Yeah. So similarly, what happens is here, the perverted reflection of this, to give an example why it is so complicated. The leaves represent the Vedic hymns. It's supposed to be a person like, you should, the human beings are living entities. The Vedas talks about how to go back to beyond this Sattva Kama Moksha to the Krishna Loka. So the Vedas talks about the Vedic hymns, which you can use it for your day-to-day life or practice your all the, it could be karma, it could be jnana yoga or ashtanga yoga, whatever it is there. The branches are various planetary system. Now we have so many planetary system, right? In Hindus we say the Navagraha. There are so many planetary system. If you take it scientific way, there are so many planetary system, Milky Way, and things like that. So these are the various branches. A person keep on jumping to one branches to another branch. You never know where it is ending and starting. Then the twigs are the sense objects. And before coming to the sense object, the twigs, you need to understand that tree predominantly nourished by the water. This water represents the three modes of material nature. For example, in the paint I was showing, there are so many colors here, right? You can see there are various colors I can select. This combination, you can do n number of combinations. So similarly, there are three basic colors, right? I don't know. What is the three basic colors? Red, yellow, blue, red.
Red, yellow, blue.
So that
Green.
combination, if you go painting shop, you get so many combinations, right? Similarly, a person whatever the percentage of more, 10% of goodness, 20% of passion, remaining is ignorant, or 71.5% of goodness, 21.5% of something. This combination makes this 84 lakh species of life. How so many species of life is there in the previous slide? You see there are 4 levels. This all made because the demigod Brahma will be mostly in the goodness, mode of goodness. Then if you come below to the devas, little bit of reduced on the goodness. Then you come to the human level, there are certain extent of goodness. But animals, they may mostly in ignorant, or some cows are like in the mode of goodness. So some are like ferocious animal like lion or in the passion. And some animals like bear, which sleeps for 6 months, or they're ignorant. So various type of bodies created, and the senses appropriately created. A teeth in the lion and our teeth are not same. Both are different because it's made for some purpose. So why I'm talking about the sense object is that based on the three modes of material nature, the water we are pouring to the tree, there may be different things would come out. Different species of life comes out, and they have different senses to enjoy. Now the tip of the branch is considered as a sense. The senses are like eyes, nose, ears, which you want to see some good thing. Then based on this, the sense object, you get it. Now the root is considered to the material existence. Our existence in the material world is compared to the root. The other subroot is that this also refers to the material existence. Now the thing is, in the first sloka, Prabhupada explained. Let us quickly read the only the purport. I'll read it because of the time constraint. Then we can explain a little bit more. The branches of this tree extended downward and upward, nourished by the three modes of material nature. The twigs are the object of the senses. The tree is also roots going down. And these are bound to the fruitive actions of human society. The description of the banyan tree is further explained here. Its branches spread in all directions. In the lower parts, there are variegated manifestation of living entities, human beings, animals, horses, cows, dogs, etc. These are situated on the lower parts of the branches, whereas on the upper parts of or higher forms of the living entities, the demigods, Gandharvas, and many other higher species of life. As a tree is nourished by water, so this tree is nourished by the three modes of material nature, which I was explaining. The water is the three modes of material nature. Sometimes we find that tract of land is barren for want of sufficient water. Sometimes a tract is very green. Similarly, where particular modes of material nature are proportionally greater in quantity, the different species of life are manifested accordingly. This is what I was explaining. There are various combination of these three modes. You can get various species of life. Then Prabhupada further explains beautifully that twigs are the tree considered to be the sense objects. By development of the different modes of nature, we develop different senses. And by the sense, we enjoy different varieties of sense object. The tip of the branches are senses, ears, nose, eyes, etc., which are attached to the enjoyment of different sense object. The twigs are sound, form, touch, and so on, the sense object. The subsidiary roots are attachment and aversions, which are byproduct of the different varieties of suffering and sense enjoyment. The tendencies toward piety and impiety are considered to development from the secondary roots, which spread in all direction. The real root is from Brahmaloka, and the other roots are in the human planetary system. And one enjoys the result of various activities in the upper planetary system. He comes down to the earth and renews his karma or fruitive activities for promotion. The planet of human being is considered as the field of activities. This one, what is the key point or takeaway is that the heading you can see, I put earth this a field of activity. The last sentence what Prabhupada talks about. What happens is human life is very precious. Why? If somebody is animal, some living being, it is a tree or animal, there is no karma involved. If animal is killing another animal, there is no karma involved. But if we kill another person, there is a karma involved, because they are not very intelligent. They evolve after species of life. They come to human being. They come to a cow. After the cow becomes a human being. In the human being, the karma is applicable. It's not applicable in the animal life. Now, leave the animal life. You go to the upper planetary system. There are devatas and all there. What happens is in the human life, whatever good pious activity like opening a big college or doing a lot of seva, a lot of pious credit activity you do, what happens? You collect, accumulate a lot of punya. You're going to tirthas and other places. You go to heaven, like enjoy, like you are going on vacation to enjoy, then you come back, right? Similarly, whatever punya you have done, you go to the Chandraloka or Indraloka, whatever loka you go and enjoy. You exhaust all your money, savings. Then you come back. If you see the foreigners, they work for 6 months, save some money, go for a trip, they come back again, they earn again money, they go to other place. Similarly, we in the karma, this is the place. Our earth is the karma. Action, a field of activity means whatever you do based on which either you go to upper planetary system to enjoy. Once that karma, punya karma is over, you come back again. So this is the only place where we can do pious activity. We can go beyond the modes of material nature, a mode of goodness and Suddha Sattva, where we can do Krishna conscious activity for us to progress. So it's very, very important. Only human being, only on the earth planet, you can do some activity which you can make you to progress to Krishna consciousness very easily. If you are in the other animal planet, another system or another Patalaloka, or you are in the upper planetary system, it is very, very, very difficult to go back. But it is advantage for us taking a human birth in the earth, so that we can perform this activity. That's what it means. So earth is the field of activity. We are fortunate to take up this activities. So in the previous sloka, the takeaway is that the principle of bhakti is the detachment from material activities and attachment to the transcendental service. If one is being situated in the Krishna consciousness, then he knows the Vedas. Basically, this slide talks about what is Veda, why one should know about Vedas. Prabhupada concludes here saying that it is a complex tree. It is very difficult to come out of this attachment. But if a devotee becomes practicing bhakti yoga, then he is already knows the Veda. Number two, he can easily detach from this, he can cut off from this tree by doing attachment to the transcendental service, which I'll be explaining furthermore in the few more slides. If you have any questions or comments, you can ask me before I proceed, because this will be the basis for the next two slokas. Okay. So the next 3 and 4 slokas, which Prabhupada wonderfully explains here. The real form of the tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. Therefore, one must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns. And the surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything began and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial. There are two paragraphs. This is a small purport. Let me read it, then probably we can go into the slide. It is now clearly stated that the real form of this banyan tree cannot be understood in this material world. Since the root is upwards, the extension of the real tree is at the other end. When entangled with the material expansion of the tree, one cannot see how far the tree extends, nor can one see the beginning of this tree. Yet, one has to find out the cause. I am the son of my father, and my father is the son of such and such a person. By searching in this way, one comes to Brahma, who is generated by the Garbhodaka Shahi Vishnu. Finally, in this way, when one reaches the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is the end of research work. One has to search out the origin of the tree, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, through the association of person who are in knowledge of that Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then by understanding, one becomes gradually detached from this false reflection of reality. And by knowledge, one can cut off the connection and actually become situated in the real tree. The word asanga is very important in this connection because the attachment for sense enjoyment and lording it over the material nature is very strong. Therefore, one must learn detachment by discussion of spiritual science uh, it, based on authoritative scriptures, and one must hear from person who are actually in knowledge. As a result of such discussion, in association of devotees, one comes to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then the first thing is one must do is surrender to Him. The description of that place where, having gone, one never returns to this false reflected tree is given here. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the original root from whom everything has emanated. To gain the favor of the personality of Godhead, one has only to surrender, and this is a result of performing devotional service by hearing, chanting, etc. One, he is the cause of the extension of the material world. Yeah, this has already been explained by the Lord Himself. Akam sarvasya prabhavaha. I am the origin of everything. Therefore, to get out of this entanglement of this strong banyan tree of material life, one must surrender to Krishna. As soon as one surrenders unto Krishna, one becomes detached automatically from the material existence. So the first sloka, we have seen that how this complex reflection of a spiritual world in the material world is temporary, how it is all perverted reflection. We saw a few examples. And Prabhupada further explains how this tree, various branches like various planetary system, how the senses are, like basically is trying to say this is a very difficult knot. This tree, you can see the root. This is very complex structure. You can't come out of it. You want to come out of it, then you have to take shelter of Krishna. Now, this is the third sloka and fourth sloka combined together. In this picture, you can see this rope. This rope is, you want to give, what is that represent is that it represents the three modes of material nature. Even one might be in the mode of goodness. For example, there are three modes. Goodness supposed to be a good. Let's say this thread is supposed to be a golden chain. Doesn't matter it's a golden chain, silver chain, or iron chain. You are bounded by that. Irrespective of, there will not make any difference. You are bounded. You're kind of, you're not able to come out. So all these three modes, whatever is there, the rope represents the three modes. We need to come out of it. How one can come out? By the knowledge, or the knowledge is that you need to detach from this material world. Then you can come out of it. So there are three people involved if you want to cut off this knot. One is the Bhagavan, whom you need to meditate or do a bhakti yoga. The second is the bhakti itself. The third is bhakta. There is no issue with the Bhagavan. It's always transcendental. Similarly, bhakti. So the bhakta, we are the person who it is our inclination, or we need to take an effort to cut this knot. That's a knowledge we are talking about. How the material world is temporary. We are taking life and birth and cycle again. You want to cut off this. Krishna says that you surrender unto me. The next slokas onwards, he says what exactly the attachment and how you can do that, and what happens if you don't detach it. So the other things we need to understand is that there are two things Prabhupada is talking about. One is the detachment, which is called anartha nivarti. Another one is by attachment. The artha pravrti, which is the more of doing spiritual activity and detaching from material activity. Even though both prescribed, the Prabhupada emphasized more on the attachment to the artha pravrti, which is more of uh, more of these spiritual activities. For example, I said you add simply Krishna in this A and B. If you want to make a circle, one thing is I said the A is missing. You want to make A, it is nothing but you're doing a chanting. We are now doing a chanting marathon, a lot of people chanting. Then some, now we are reading it. Why? The reason I'm reading Bhagavad Gita is that you get an interest, see so much depth knowledge of Prabhupada has written. You go and read further slokas for the next class and you can ask more questions. The reading of Bhagavatam, hearing or worshipping Tulasi, which I've told in this month, you can water Tulasi plant and now you get benefit. So this is what it means, making Krishna in the center. Otherwise, it will be a straight line. There is no, what to say, always there is a, this duality is going to exist. Happiness, distress. Sometime we are happy, sometime we are not happy. So those, dukhalema shashvatam, that's going to happen. The cycle is going to happen. So if you don't put Krishna in the center. So when we say Krishna in the center, it's more of chanting, doing bhakti yoga. That is this bhakti here Krishna is talking about. So when we do that, this we can form this circle and we can go back to Krishna. The second thing is that sometimes when we think that, you know, some people, when I was talking to them, said, I've been doing meditation, I've been chanting, but I don't get a result. See, when we need to understand, we always know that there are two types of body, right? We have a shuttle body, which is mind, intelligence, ego. Then there is a physical body, which made of this Panchabhuta. But when you focus on internally means the mind, intelligence, and your body, everything is included as a one unit. That is external. Internal is the soul. The soul is the internal part which we need to focus. Now, the person who is doing yoga, what is the problem is he's trying to control the mind. But mind is also part of your external system. You want to focus on the internal system. So, for example, you one day you get an anger, really you are angry, or you have some, something happened, fight in the office or something happened in the street. You're really upset. What you do is you write it down and take a piece of paper, write it down. What is the current existing mood? You are distressed, you are sad, or you're angry. Your mind is not able to focus. Whatever it is, then take a beat back, chanting back, and loudly chant this Hare Krishna mantra, 1 or 2 rounds. Then again take your paper and write it down. Check your status. You would have definitely improved. The reason, because for everything we say you chant Hare Krishna. Somebody says, why for everything you prescribe chanting of Hare Krishna mantra means? That is internal. That is a solution which can solve the problem. By controlling mind, you might get more distressed because you're thinking about the same problem. You get more overwhelmed. You might get into depression more. So if you want to come out of some problem, you need to go something relaxing, right? Let's say Monday to Friday we work in the office, so much hectic. Saturday, Sunday we love to do what we like. Somebody do gardening, somebody would cooking. If you keep on working, you're not going to get out of it. You'll get more stress. Monday you go to office again, you'll frustrated if you work on Saturday, Sunday. Similarly, when you have some problem in the hand, material things cannot help you. Even the mind, intelligence, false ego. If you're without Krishna, that's why we say keep Krishna in the center. Now everything you pick up a beat back and chant. What happens is you're going to see difference in you, because that's a solution, right? In this material world. So Prabhupada talks about that attachment to Krishna that will solve predominantly. You will get a taste. The second is the detachment. Detachment means instead of doing whatever entangling to the material world, you avoid that basically. Whatever it distracts you from this progress in the spiritual path, which both you need to do. But predominantly by doing the second part of it, attachment, you obviously invariably you will leave those detachment automatically. It will happen. You don't need to force yourself. These are some of the explanation Prabhupada gives, and the takeaway is that cut down this strongly rooted tree with a weapon of detachment. Asanga shastrena, here it is mentioned in the 15.3. Asanga means the leaving the material attachments. Shastrena means the weapon. So here the knowledge, when you do bhakti, you will get a knowledge how to detach yourself. And one is you get detachment, another one is you get knowledge. What does this mean? Means should I leave my family? Detachment. Why I'm talking about should I leave everything, go to a forest? It is not that mean. So it means that it's more of a centralizing. Again, I'm bringing to the point the centralizing Krishna activity. Whatever you do, please keep the Krishna in the center. Then do your activity and slowly realize that this material world is not the place for us. Everyone needs to go back to this place. For that, the key thing is that we need to cut off this desire. Why this material world perfected reflection? I told you the spiritual world, material world, there is no differentiation. The spiritual world is mapped or put on this plain area that's due to our material desire. So this desire, we don't have the desire, then you can cross over this tree and go to the other side of Krishna where he's standing. So I would stop here for any more comments or discussions or more points anybody wants to add. Otherwise, I'll add few more points later at the end. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So, I understood this to an extent, Prabhuji, but can you give a little clarity on basically the perverted reflection, basically the upside down tree as such? So, is it just trying to tell us that, like you have shown love and lust, material body and spiritual body? So, it is like the opposite of what it is what we see here? Is that what the understanding, Prabhuji, or is there more to that?
Yeah. So, for example, Krishna loves cow, pets, lot of pets he has. But material also we have a lot of pet animal. It is not the same. Similarly, Krishna steals in Golaka Vrindavan, but if you steal here, you will be caught. It is a punishment. It is not. It's perfected. Anything, whatever you do materially, it is there in Golaka Vrindavan. If a boy and girl is loving in this material world, that is the key. Everybody loves love story, a beautiful love story or a beautiful story, anything involved in the love. That's because Krishna loves Radharani. But that is not same as what we have it here. People misunderstand. That's why given Jatarasa versus Parakyarasa. Jatarasa means a person one loves normal lust. It is not a love. But Parakyarasa, where is loving the other woman who is not married or having. It's not like material thing. It's very difficult to understand. That's why I've not taken the subject. So another example, simple example is Krishna stealing. Why Krishna stealing is glorified, Makan Chor, but whereas if I do it here, you will say, punish. It is a punishable offense. That's because Krishna owns everything. He created everything and he had 9 lakh cows. There is no scarcity of milk and butter in his house. And he had a big pond. And whenever we go to Vrindavan, they say, see the pond? Yeah. This is where Krishna kept his milk pots. That is in acres of acres. 9 lakh cows, if you milk it, even you take 10 liters of milk. This is nothing here. Material sense, I'm telling. Krishna Loka, it's every time you milk a cow, it will give the milk. But even you take that calculation, 9 lakh cows into 10, 20 liters of milk, how much would be? It is ocean. Why Krishna has to go to somebody's house and steal? Because they wanted Krishna to come and they won't have that rasa. Then that's why Krishna is enjoyed. Then he goes and steals Vastra of the gopis or he does rasa dance. Why? They are the rishis in the Ramayana. They wanted to have that kind of rasa. See, basically there are 5 rasas. Somebody can become a father. Somebody can become a conjugal lover. Somebody can dasya, like Hanuman. He wanted one to serve. So there are different bodies. We are still on the bodily platform. We are not on the soul platform. Soul doesn't have anything for Krishna. Krishna is on the soul platform. He never sees a woman or a men or animal equally treats. And he loves equally. Even stool in the worm, Krishna is there. Whatever species are there, he's suffering here. Along with you, he's also suffering. He's looking at, this guy is suffering so much. He looks into the bodily concept. He never looks into what is the soul concept, not on the material platform. So it's the same activity. Anything you see in the material world, it is there in the spiritual world. But if you do it here, it will bind you. It will never allow you to come unless you take it to Krishna conscious. Or that is a perverted reflection means it has a duality. There only happiness. Here you have dukkha and shoka. When happiness both are there, distress is there. So somebody like that, their pious activity do, impious activity also you can do. But there is only pious activity. There are always their happiness. Here it is both. So that both has to go become one, that's the spiritual world. And this body is just temporarily made. And you want to happen, take birth and cycle, as long as you are in the straight line. You want to make it a circle, then you have to go back. That desire is the key. So cutting. So there is another beautiful, if you go in deeper, one place Prabhupada says, this is an imperishable tree. This tree, you can never cut it off. But one place he says you cut it off and you come to a material world. So how is that possible? Why he is within two slokas he is contradicting? I think it's second sloka also another contradiction. He says the root is goes down. It starts from the top. The branches goes down. The root is upward.
Yeah,
The second
Brahma.
sloka immediately will say the root is also going down. So you will see this two kind of contradiction. It's not a contradiction. You need to understand when you dwell into more, you will understand. Now, why Prabhupada is telling first thing is the root, right? Which one place, first sloka I said, it is upward. The tree is upward, the root is starting. There are secondary root Prabhupada is talking about. It is our attachment based on the modes of material nature, the karma activity, what we do. Either you can go down or go up. So it can go to different direction, horizontal also, upper also, mode also, the subroots. The main root comes from Brahma that goes down. But there are secondary roots which are available. Sometimes you can cut off one root, other root will still the tree would survive because that is not the main root or something. So what happens is this root is going complex. That's because of a material nature, the karma activity you do, it is binding more and more and more. When he says Prabhupada cutting off, this tree is imperishable, you can't cut it off. Then he says in the fourth sloka, you cut off. Here, when cut off means you can't cut the tree, but at least whatever surrounding around you, you can take and cut it. You can relieve from the root. You may not cut the entire tree. It means that is imperishable. That's going to be there. People going to be like keep on living forever. Some people, but you can at least cut off those small or whatever branches you are holding to or whatever it is tying to you, that you can cut off and go back to Krishna. So this requires more analysis and depth understand. Sometimes Prabhupada say one way, other way. The other sloka means that it's by acharyas we can understand how this to be understood. So that what it means. It's a perverted reflection. Means everything available in Krishna Loka it is here, but that comes with asterisk mark. It's duality, and which is not recommended here. It's a perverted reflection. So the real happiness is there. It is really shadow and substance. That's why the first when you see that I named the topic as substance and shadow. Whatever we have, like it's another example is mirage. A deer or animal sees a water on the road. It keeps on chasing. Then he sees that there is no water. And it again falls off. Again tries again. We have seen that mirage. There is a water looks like, but it is not there on sunny day. So we say this happiness, happiness. Let me go. Most of the time we do planning. We never enjoy it. Anything, whatever maybe. If you go to a movie, I went to many movies in the childhood, but always I come back with a headache. I never had a peaceful what in a movie, and I don't know. This is a material thing. You plan it, enjoyment. You think that is enjoyment. You go for it. You plan for it. The plan is successful, excellent. You do it also, but it lasts either little bit, a moment of time, or it is just a failure of attempt. That's what most of the time happen. You frustrated. But happiness, if you try in spiritual world, it will happen. That's the example of mirage, where animal trying, finally it dies off without water. So you're going to take another body of life. So what happens? You try this what help me, this is what I keep on jumping on the tree. Okay, and I go to Gandharva Loka, it will be nice. Then Sorgaloka, it will be nice. You branch to another planet. Okay, Earth is not okay. Let me go to Mars. Oh, Mars is not good. Let me go to Saturn. You might jump off various branches. The branches are different planetary system. You never going to happy. So, but only in Krishna Loka, the real love is there. The real happiness is there. That's because that is the component it is made of. So there's internal energy. The pleasure potency is managing it. Here, there's external potency. Like every day you have to get up, you have to go to clean up yourself. There will be waters coming out of your body. You have to clean yourself. In the spiritual world, you don't need to do it because this body is not like made of our normal substance. When Krishna comes here, it's not that normal way he takes a birth. He just appears in the mind or heart directly appear. Then he gets pregnant and he comes out. It's not that he requires somebody's union to come out. So Krishna is transcendental. When he comes here, his body is transcendental. It's not like our regular life. We have to eat unless we can't work. Krishna doesn't need to eat. He doesn't need to sleep. He's always open. Puri Jagannath Andal, if you see, hardly half an hour they give a gap. Tirupati Balaji hardly sleeps for 1 or 2 hours. He never sleeps because the lordships doesn't need to sleep. They doesn't need to eat. They don't need anything from us basically. So what I mean is that the lordships are transcendental. When we also get our body, I said we can also be one of the tree or grass in the Vrindavan or whatever form we have. That's our original identity. Once you take initiation, you follow this chanting of this process. Finally, when you go qualified without desire, you go back, you develop a detachment. That's the time Krishna will reveal. You are once upon a time with me as a Gopa, or you are once upon a time you are helping me as a parrot, or once upon a time you are working as a pigeon, whatever it is. Krishna would reveal, and we will continue our role there. It's like our vacant post. Krishna is keeping our vacant post there. Once we all go back, cut off this tree and go back, Krishna will say, this is was your job you are doing previously. Please continue to do. Right now it is a gap. The post is vacant. You have to go to your post only. Krishna will never give it to others. So that still post is vacant. So you have to go back to that post.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Somebody has asked, can somebody read the chat? Okay, I need to turn back to the. Okay.
Yeah,
There's
Abhijit
a-
Prabhuji asked.
Prabhuji,
Yeah, go on.
I just wanted to know if this upward down tree, who's watering it?
modes of material nature. It's not technically like scenario. Somebody's taking water in the bucket and pouring it. The nourishment
For it
of
to
the tree,
survive. I mean, yeah, I know it is not technical.
yeah.
But
So it's the modes of
since
material
we are
nature.
giving this analogy, it has to survive also.
Yeah, that's why I told you. The important thing is the water is nothing but the three modes of material nature. Uh, the uh, the various living entities created based on the water. If somebody is more of goodness, then he would get that kind of body. So the based on the water, the tree nourishes. That's what Prabhupada says. Some places it is track. Some track is very greenery because somebody is watering it. Some places it is very dull. The tree is not healthy. That's because there is no water. Similarly, the water is the three modes of material nature is the water that nourishes this body. Or I would say the other way in this diagram, if you see the when you plot this circle into a straight line, I said the material desire you can put it in the plan. That's nothing but the material desire, nothing but the modes of material nature. You take spiritual, then you're trying to take the help of material nature. You project it. Basically, you projection they say, right? You take a globe, then you project it in the flat map. Similarly, you want to project it with our material desire is nothing but modes of material nature. Somebody has a different kind of desire. So it's nothing but the combination of material nature, which is the water, the projection, which makes enables us to come to this kind of a tree. So it's predominantly when you say water, it is water refers to the modes of material nature. I don't know, it's a difficult concept to perceive, but this kind of analogy, what Krishna is trying to say to prove that it is a duality. Number one, it is a shadow. You will not get happiness like a mirage or a person trying to be happy. Or another example I can give is that like one king is punishing one thief. He told you put him inside the water and take him, put him again, dip him again, take him out. That's a punishment. So inside the water he would struggle. Oh my God! Then he comes out, he gets a happiness. Is that really happiness? Absence of suffering is called happiness in the material world. But happiness is permanently there in spiritual world. That's real. Here it is something, you keep on having problem. You have some break, at least something going moving. Oh, said I'm happy. How are you, Prabhu? I'm happy. It is not really happy. Your absence of miseries in this material world, literally we want to put it. But you're not really enjoying. Or you might make a plan, it might be temporary, or it just momentary enjoyment. That's all maximum it can stay. That's what it means here.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yeah, it's 7:32. We're already exceeded 2 minutes. But I love you to read and come. What happens is these terms already would have gone. Like you're asking so many deeper questions now. So that way, what happens is we can discuss more, churn out more. And Prabhupada is amazing. So this kind of questions will come. Some places Prabhupada says upward, some places he'll say downward. You need to look into the acharyas, what is the explanation or what like that. There's always scope to go deeper. Tomorrow you read it again, you'll get a new concept. Tomorrow you read it, you'll get a new concept. That's Bhagavad Gita. That's why it's guhyam, a secret. Because the level of your knowledge or your attachment to Krishna increases, that much Krishna will reveal from the heart. Otherwise, anybody can read this. It will be plain English. What is that big deal? It's a tree. Okay, I understand. But it's not like that. The more we do a devotional service to Krishna, Tadami Bhutti Yogam, Krishna reveals more and more. Tomorrow you'll get a different perspective altogether. I'm telling you, when you read the same sloka, You lifelong you read it, you get a different interpretation, different understanding of this sloka. Same sloka, you read it again next month, you'll get a different understanding. That's why I request all of you this month read Purushottam. Yeah, that's why I'm reading it also. So next week also all the readers, I request all the people who are presenting to read the purport, then explain so that all of us can benefit. I would stop here. It is already 3 minutes over. Thank you very much. If you have more questions, I'm happy to answer it in the WhatsApp. Because of the time, we will stop here. Thank you very much. And please invite more people so that they can also get benefit. That's my humble request.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the class. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I'm stopping here.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
भगवद्गीता की जय, शील प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः।
Hare Krishna.